hours away.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Trudging Tuesday. Too close to the camera. There we go. There's an art to it. I'd say good morning, but it's not morning. So good afternoon. For the longest time, I wouldn't even say good morning because I got tired of going to work and be like, good morning. And people are like, what's so good about it? I'm like, I already have a bad attitude. I don't need your fucking attitude too. I'm already hungover, shaking, sweating, everything else. I tried to make it a good morning, but you're just a jackass. Right? See, isn't that kind of weird? The life of an alcoholic, where we feel better because we're not hungover. All right. Hi, Amber. Amber says it's pre-turkey day. Gobble, gobble, bitches. What is it with us Virgos always need to put some kind of swear word in there? I can swear to God. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? All right, before we get to our regularly scheduled program, AAers, you gotta start doing better, man. Yep. AA's got to start doing better. I hear a lot of complaints about AA, and part of it is I know people don't want to do the work, but but no, not all of that is. It's not just that. Telling people they don't need outside help and saying AA is the only way, telling people what to do, how to believe, it's not going to work. It will not work that way. Okay. This newer generation, I'm a Gen Xer. I like it. I'm used to being thrown in my face. I don't have a problem with it. Okay. But we've got to meet people where they are at. And some of these people are really, really fucking hurting. So, Amber's asked, what's wrong with the people who aren't cussing? Yeah. What's wrong with you? Maybe they're just a little more eloquent with their words. I've actually toned down on my swearing a little bit. All right. Progress. But let's do better, AAers. Let's do better. Yeah, some of it is people just want to be angry with something that I get. I was watching one this morning where they got diagnosed with PTSD and suddenly they're not alcoholic anymore. I'm no longer, I think, and I get it. I don't want to be an alcoholic either. I don't want to have CPTSD. I don't want to have severe depression or acute anxiety or ADHD, but I do. So what am I going to do about it? Everybody's a fucking expert out there. And now when it comes to alcoholism, I think I know what I'm talking about, but I'm certainly I don't know everything, but I would be considered an expert in my field. I would be. And but I use that expertise to help, not tell people what to do. That can kill people. And that's where we get live and let live. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There is a reading. But before we get going, you know what time it is. It is time for Dion's Daily Funnies. They have moved around Restream again. They keep moving the stuff around, but I found it. Don't you worry. But today I asked for some grapevine jokes and mix it up a little bit. All right. We have horrible jokes here. Half of them don't make sense. Even the kids don't laugh at them. but that's why we have a laugh track. How do you get an alcoholic to do the 12 steps? Tell them they don't have to do them. Okay, I'm going to give my own joke on this one. How do you get an alcoholic to do the 12 steps? Tell them they're not allowed to do them. See, that was better, wasn't it? You got a little bit more laughter out of that one. All right. See? What's the difference between an alcoholic and a necrophiliac? God, these jokes are kind of bad. A necrophiliac likes it cold and out of the case. Okay. Must be a southern thing. I don't get it. All right, hold on. All right. Kids are outside on the phone, so the kid is up there screaming at the top of his freaking lungs. A man goes to the doctor for his severe drinking, and the doctor tells him about an experimental pill that could cure his alcoholism instantly. The man quickly replies, "Then I'll take two." The thing is that's how I describe, that's actually how I describe a cured alcoholism. They stole my line and turned it into a joke. That's probably where I got it from, actually. All right, one more. I have one more here. A woman asks her sober friend, "My sponsor told me I should avoid places I used to drink." The friend responds, "Oh, so you're just trying to stay in the house all the time?" The woman replies, "No, I can still go to my bed and refrigerator." See, not only do we need to get better at helping people, we need to get better at our jokes. Isaac's been waiting for my funnies all day. All right, then we're gonna do a couple regular jokes for Isaac. Because those probably made no sense. So let's do one more for Isaac. Give me some good kids jokes. All right, best jokes for kids. Is it really though? Why did the jaguar eat the tightrope walker? It was a well-craving, well-balanced meal. Yeah, we could do. That's not even funny. What do you call a sleeping bull? A bulldozer. All right. All right. I'm doing the best that I can today. I put it that way. I'm not in a bad mood. Not in a bad mood. It's just, oh, something doesn't feel right. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. I'm here with Grogu. If you do not know who Grogu is, then you do not watch The Mandalorian, so don't worry about it. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. We have a lot of rewatchers. Last one was funny, he said. Okay, good. All right. See, I'm going to tell you right now, if all that really happens out of this one is that I made Isaac laugh for the day, then we're good. And we're set, right? All right. Live and let live. Not far from the song, which was a song by see who did Live and Let Die. That would have been, it was Paul McCartney's band. I believe Wings did Live and Let Die. So Live and Let Die. So in this case, we're gonna do Live and Let Live. Dong, dong. So why is Live and Let Live kind of tough for people like me? Number one reason I have control issues. And the reason I have control issues is because some of the trauma that I have. See, growing up, I didn't have anybody protecting me. In fact, they did not do anything to protect me. It's why I go through some of the things that I go through. It's partly what I'm going through right now. I've been going through it for a few months now. Keep getting flashbacks and stuff. They're very uncomfortable. Um, so I've spent most of my life surviving. Most of my life I spent trying to figure out where I was going to have a roof over my head for the day. If I was going to have enough money to eat. Um, yeah. And then my family wasn't really willing to help me out because I was a drinker and they believed in tough love. You know, my mom did not need me at her house drinking the way I was drinking either. She did not need that. Right. Um, a lot of my reactions were fear based. Some of them still are. Yeah. I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but I'm a fairly reactive person. I'll do everything correctly. I still need to make amends. I need to clean things up as they come along. I make mistakes. What I try and do is learn from those mistakes. Yeah. No matter no matter how bad or how grievous it was. Um, I just did that with grassroots and people, if you're going to um some people accused me of something. It was something that I just would be so far from what I do. It just right, and it triggered me, right? And what I do, well, for the most part, I just shut my mouth. Right? But I also heard what they were saying, even in the anger and the angst. Well, this wasn't anger. This was a rage, which means they had been angry about something for quite some time. They let it turn into a resentment. They found something that they could narrow in on a mistake and they attacked it. And I know that process because that is me. But for the grace of God, go Dion. Now I can slip into a live and let live, where I can allow this person to go ahead and be angry with me and accuse me, but I can still do the right thing. It is not easy to do. In fact, it takes more courage to take that route than it does to defend myself or get into my own anger, right? Because then we start playing the game of who can yell louder, and there's a really good chance I'm going to win that one. But did you hear that line? There'd be a really good chance I would win that one. Either everybody needs to win or everybody's going to lose in that situation. It's not going to do much. Wanting people to behave a certain way so that I felt safe and protected. Because when people do odd shit, I'm watching. I'm watching. I'm going to see if you're going to do something behind my back because I don't trust most people. Hence the saying, live and let live. Right. So I have a little bit more on that, but I want to kind of divide this up a little bit. We're going to go to the reading. This is out of A Day at a Time. It is Hazelden Literature. I'm a big fan of Hazelden Literature. I'm going to be starting to put some more stuff out of books and stuff that might help, right? November 25th, reflection for the day. What you have may seem small. You desire so much more. See children thrusting their hands into a narrow neck jar, starving to pull out those sweets. If they fill the hand, they cannot pull it out, and then they fall to tears. When they let go of a few, they can draw out the rest. You too let your desires go, cover too much, wrote Epictetus. Epictetus, I think is that be Greek or Roman. All right. So what they're saying is you have this jar and there's this narrow head, right? But all the sweets are in there. So you reach your hand in there and you grab a whole handful but then you can't get your hand back out of the jar. Of course, if you were smart, you just tip the jar and pour the candy into your hand. But that's not what we're talking about here. Okay. In order to get the candy, you have to put your hand in the jar. That's the rule. All right. There we go. Because we alcoholics will look for any way to get around this. We're going to look for the flaw in the example. How do I know you do that? Because I do it too. I just did it. I looked for an easier, softer way, didn't I? My brain can't help it. It wasn't the answer. Okay. So if I grab a whole handful, I'm not going to be able to get my hand back out of that jar. And you know how many sweets I'm going to get? 0. Not only that, but it's selfish. There are other people that might also want some of those sweets. Right? How many videos did you see this year of people walking up to an unattended Halloween bowl and taking most of it, just taking it, pouring it into their bag? This is what we're talking about. Taking more of what you need. Right? Now the government and everybody else is going to tell you what you need. Stop listening to that. You know what you need. God knows what you need. Let's go there instead. Your friends are your friends are much better prepared to tell you what you need than the government. And they'll flash it right in front. What was that? Those drink holders, not drink holder, you know, the thermal cups or whatever. What was it, like a year ago? Everybody was stumbling over because there was a particular name, a particular brand, right? That created status. I've never dressed fashionably. I've always dressed however I want to dress. Right? I had hand-me-downs. My clothes were always 2-3 years from being cool. till, till, until I started making a little bit of money. That is right. I used to. Okay, when VCRs first came out. This was one of my greatest scams. I loved it. I still think it's funny. All right, so when VCRs first came out, the reason people got VCRs is because they wanted to record Days of Their Lives, General Hospital. At that time it would be Phil Donahue. They wanted to record this stuff because while they were at work, they couldn't watch it. Well, this would be like, the beginning of streaming, right? So you'd have to record it. Okay. But in order for that to happen, there's this blinking light says 12, 12, 12. If that timer is not set correctly, it doesn't record it. It's got that time. The other thing is you had to tune into UHF and VHF and make sure it was on the right channel. All right. So you had to, if you wanted channel, see, 2, 20, and 31 are UHF. The rest are VHF. All right. It's a frequency. It's a type of frequency that I use. Anyway, so it costs you $5 for me to set it up. So remember, this would be like the mid 80s, a little bit sooner, maybe the early mid 80s. I lived in a high end suburbia, white suburbia, let's call it, right? Now, I do that, but when I ran out of money, what I would do is I would wait till you went to work, and then I would go turn off your power and turn it back on. So that little blinky 12 came back. Yeah. Sometimes what I would do, I would wait till their show was on, and the last 5 minutes is when I would turn it off. So they'd miss the last 5 minutes of their show. They'd be really upset. And then I'm definitely getting a phone call to get that set up again. From a young age, that is how Dion worked. That's what I did. I was very manipulative. Okay? They didn't know. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody my secret either. Because then they would do it. And then I'd be out the money. No thanks. All right. Anyway, so let me expect not too much of anyone, particularly myself. That's, I think I needed to hear that. I really think I needed to hear that line right now, particularly of myself. I don't know. I don't know that my expectations are too high for myself. Um, I don't know. I'll have to talk that one out. But if a line is hitting me, then it's probably best to take a look at it anyway. It's still worth my time, is it not? I think it is. I think it's still worth my time. There it is, that I'm not expecting too much, particularly of myself. Yeah. See, part of live and let live is allowing people to live the way that they live so that I'm not angry. And it leads to my own peace. Let me learn to settle for less than I wish were possible and be willing to accept it and appreciate it. Do I accept gratefully and graciously the good that has already come to me in the program? Are you graciously accepting it, or are you just accepting it? What does graciously accepting it mean? It means this: somebody gives you a compliment and you say something like, "Thank you." Because I have found that alcoholics have a hard time accepting compliments. We don't think it's real because there's a part of us that tells us we still don't deserve it. At least that's what happens to me. Maybe that doesn't happen to everybody. For me, there's there's parts of my brain that tell me I am not worthy. These are old tapes being played by people that were abusive in my life is what they are. It's not even me talking in my head. All right. So today I pray, may I search my soul for those little hankerings of want, which may keep me from delighting in all that I have. If I can teach myself not to want too much, not to expect too much, then when these expectations are not satisfied, I will not be let down. May I accept with grace what the grace of God has provided. Today I'll remember I alone can grant myself the freedom from want. From want. There's a big difference between need and want. Need is survival. Want is excess. Right? Now, let's say you're building a farm. Right? Let's say you have some chickens. You have to spend a little bit of money on chicken wire. Do you need that? Yeah, you kind of do. See, sometimes we can utilize money to get to the need, right? Do you need or want chickens? No, you're going to need chickens, or you're not going to be able to have a chicken farm. You're going to need a chicken coop. You're going to need chicken feed, a lot of chicken stuff, right? Might need to get a rooster too. Might need to get a rooster, a dog to protect the children, the chickens, right? Mm. I have no idea where that example came from. So what does it mean? We have to let people have their own path, which can be hard to do because you might see them going down a wrong path, but is that you thinking they're going down a wrong path, or what is it really? Because the next thing that we got to let go of is judgment. It might be maybe they are doing something and I wasn't able to do it, but they're succeeding with it and I'm getting a little jealous. Maybe it's that. Where does Dion stand on this? What are you going to do with it? Good afternoon, Michelle. It's good to see you. Sorry, I gotta save some of my energy for, it's therapy day. All right. You're gonna hear this a lot. Stay on your side of the street. Stay in your lane. Stay in your backyard. I was taught that I was not allowed to go play in somebody else's backyard until mine was clean. That took a while. What does that mean? Is it sponsorship? It's service work that I couldn't transmit something that I didn't have. Right. So why am I letting go of judgment for your own peace of mind? Because you are going to be, I'll give you a good example. Earlier, I saw another person and they were complaining about AA, saying, that some people had told her that they didn't need outside help. And I don't know if that actually happened, but the thing is, I'm hearing it so much now, you know, and I had two options. Well, I had three options. I could say nothing. I could say nothing. I could, hey, you shouldn't bash on AA. They're lucky that AA had. There's a lot of people out there that are lucky that AA has no say so on outside things, or a lot of people would be in court with AA at the present moment. Just so you know, you're getting away with something, but you ain't gonna get away with it. Right. Now, some people are just angry and they hate AA and they do that so that they can feel superior. We do it all the time. All right. But do we need to go that route? No, we don't. I said, you know what? I am sorry that happened to you. That sucks. I would never tell somebody not to get outside help. That's not the way we do things in AA. I'm very grateful for the meeting I'm in. I'm not going against what they're saying because that is their truth, man. And if I sit there and poke the bear, well, I'm not going to be able to help much, am I? No, I need to allow that person to live and let live. I do. Should AA do the consequences? No. We don't delve out consequences. It's not what we do to anyone. It's something that we stand on, and we will die on that rock. Right? No, we don't tell people what to do. All I can do is share my experience of what I did. Right? So we don't fix people, we don't micromanage, we don't abandon ourselves either. Right? Are you allowing you to let you live the way that you want to live? Everything starts with us. What does it do? What does it do? It brings more peace, less conflict, and neutrality. Yeah, neutrality. I don't care what higher power you believe in. If it's working for you, none of my business. If if you are happy, joyous, and free, like for reals, you're doing service work and doing what I don't care. Right. But there's a balance in there, because I like to advocate. Right now, there's a million wrong ways to do it, and people are following along. There's not anything I can do about that. The best that I can do is continue doing what I'm doing and hoping that people find what it is that I do. But maybe they don't want it. Maybe they don't want this path. That's okay too. That's why I don't promote. What I don't need is a bunch of people saying, "Oh, yeah, I tried this way of doing it." I don't want to sit here and argue with you. Uh, Now, if we're going to debate some to get to a solution, I'm happy to do that. Right. But I'm not going to try and, yeah, I'm not going to try and change somebody's mind. They had that experience. Right. But when it turns into anger, resentment, and it's all you talk about, well, right. I'm willing to help, but I ain't going to be your beating board. Mm-mm. No. So you got to live and let live. Allow people to be who they are, and that will turn into unconditional love, and you will have your life will be a lot more peaceful. Right. So, all right. I'm sure I'll probably be back after therapy. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I usually am, but I usually get up earlier. So, but people kept dinging my phone, and I didn't get my other hour of sleep, and yeah, and the kids had the heat cranked, and then the cat gets on the then. But one cat, when he cleans other cats, he's like, meow, meow, meow. I'm not kidding. It sounds like he's eating them or something. I don't know. But it's very annoying when you're trying to sleep. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.